Welcome to the Lean Lounge, a podcast brought to you by Lean Revisions. Please welcome your host, Jeff Gray.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Gray from the Lean Lounge, brought to you by Lean Revisions. I want to thank you for watching our show, listening to our show all over Apple and Spotify and iHeart and SiriusXM. And I want to especially thank one of our sponsors, Sigma XL. Now, if you haven't heard of Sigma XL, Sigma XL is an Excel plugin to help you execute all of your Lean, your Six Sigma, your Agile, your PDCA, and really any other kind of process improvement approach that you're using out there in your organizations and in your businesses. Sigma XL has been around since the late 90s. I started using Sigma XL in the early 2000s, so date myself a little bit, for about 20 years. And over those 20 years, they have expanded and grown into an awesome software that'll help you execute your Lean Six Sigma projects out there. It's an Excel plugin. They have over 100,000 users. They're in over 180 countries around the planet, so they must be doing something right. And it's a very simple software that you can use. You can download off their site, plug it into your Excel. It'll help you do your charters. It'll help you do all of your statistical analysis, your hypothesis testing, your design, your Monte Carlos, your SPC. They have lots of templates for QFDs, for your root cause analysis. There's C&E matrix for your solution selection and root cause analysis. Everything you need to do to successfully execute a Lean project. So visit our friends at Sigma XL and download their software. Tell them Jeff from the Lean Lounge sent you, Jeff from Lean Revisions. I want to thank you for following along with us on our podcast and keep listening. I hope you are enjoying the variety of practitioners and authors and real life folks who are just executing projects and sharing some nuggets of knowledge along the way. So visit our friends at Sigma XL and download their software and continue watching the Lean Lounge. I'm your host, Jeff Gray. See you soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lean Lounge. My name is Jeff Gray, and today I have an awesome guest here, Miss Debrena Jackson Gandy,
Yes.
from the $1 Million Mentor. Is that right?
That's actually my online URL. So
Oh.
Masterminds Unlimited is the company.
Ooh.
But online is $1milliondollarmentor.net.
Okay, my bad.
That's all right.
So today, before we talk about Debrena and what she does, I want to thank my sponsors, KPI Fire and Sigma XL, and all of you audience out there listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. And feel free to contact us at leanrevisions.com if you need any help with your operations. And after this conversation, I'm sure you'll be talking to Debrena too, because she's going to tell you some awesome stuff about what she does. So now that I've hyped you up, Debrena, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, first, it's great to be here.
Thank you.
It's so interesting to go from that brief presentation I made at that business event, and then we connect there, and then now here I sit.
Yes.
In the Lean Lounge. So I just think that's wonderful. But I am very fortunate because I have built a business, much like you, around what makes my heart sing the most and
Nice.
my passions. And a lot of times we think the passions become a part-time or hobby, but in order to build a business, you have to be more serious or
Yes.
whatever the adage may be. And really, I have built a business around my passions. And so every morning when I wake up, I'm thrilled. Every week, it's exciting. It's never asking me, how's it going? Same old, same old. You will never hear me say that.
Right.
And so, so that's how I've structured my business, is around the kind of the three main buckets that I'm most excited about in life. So just really glad to be here and share
Nice.
with your awesome audience.
So what are those three buckets? One at a time? What you want to walk us through what those are and how
Sure.
how they work?
Yeah, so my company is Masterminds Unlimited, and the three main kind of lanes that we focus on are, one, business training, consulting, and coaching, which was kind of the premise that we met under.
Right.
But then we also have a division where I do personal empowerment and transformation work, and under that lane of our work, it's primarily, women that are leaders, women that are thought leaders, very progressive, and leaders within their own spaces. So working with leaders of leaders.
Nice.
And increasing numbers of men, but the majority of the clientele under the personal transformation piece really is progressive, vision-led women. And then the third arena that has really been growing a lot lately, especially since the pandemic, is love relationships. So my third nationally published book is on the topic of love relationships. And in the last 5 or 6 years especially, 4 years since the pandemic, the ensuing evidence since then, the interest in my love relationships teachings has really gotten a boost. There's so much madness and confusion abounding out there.
Right.
And so one of my taglines is where wisdom and truth is served. So those are the three kind of lines of business that we focus on.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you a little about, first, we'll get to the relationship stuff in a minute.
I can talk about that all day, by the way. All day.
We might do a podcast just on that one.
Oh my God. I would love that.
But when you are...
Get me started.
No, not yet. So, the ones with the women, and now the men are coming on board, the thought leaders and the leaders leading leaders.
Yeah.
That's really what, this podcast is about, is helping businesses succeed and thrive and having set themselves up for success. Leadership is a part of that. So can you tell us a little bit more about what is that leadership component? What do you do? How do you help them? And what's the final result you're helping them with?
Yes. Well, we have probably per one leader easily 1,000 followers. So leaders are exceptional. Leaders are extraordinary. They can be born or made, and still it's about one leader for every 1,000 followers.
Wow.
And so the muscles that a leader works, and the posture that a leader has, and the frame through which a leader sees, and the way a leader processes and truths that they operate from are different than followers. Because that's where the majority of people are, thinking in a certain way, perceiving in a certain way, and even the level of communication of a leader has to be more masterful.
Wow. Wow.
So, for example, the course I have for men is called The Edge, and we talk about discipline of body, discipline of mind, and discipline of tongue, meaning what you speak and say. So often we get into sticky situations, especially in our interpersonal relationships, where we've said something that created a undesirable outcome, and now we're trying to clean it up versus coming with wisdom in the first place. Right?
Yeah,
And
setting it
so-
up for the right way, the right time
Right.
first.
It's much easier to enter properly and powerfully than enter incorrectly and then try to clean it up. So
And most of us do.
oh my goodness. So these are so those are some of the areas that I look at with my women leaders and my male leaders, and but the emphasis is a little bit different. So for example, when I'm talking to women, it's very important. Their leadership is very much affected by their level of self-love. It isn't just do you have it or don't. It's not an absolute. There's levels of self-love. And I had to start creating distinctions for women so they could locate themselves. So where am I in the levels?
Right.
And if your level is too low, then you will start to have life respond in ways that will create more challenge and tripwires for you than necessary. And you can think it's other people, and it really does look like it's other people, and it's really, we got to get that level of self-love elevated, because it infuses every area of your expression and your being, and wherever you go, so goes your level of self-love. With men, however, it's not necessarily a conversation about self-love.
Right.
It's more a conversation about self-control and self-mastery and self-discipline. But the net outcome is still the
Interesting.
same, being highly effective and being an influencer and an agent of change and a thought leader.
Right.
So the road I take in my work with men is different than the road I take with
I was
women,
gonna
but the
say.
destination
Right.
is still the same.
Right.
So that's under the personal transformation and empowerment work, which is where under that banner I do a lot of my work with leaders. But then under the business division, if you're a business owner, you are the leader in your business.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm also going to work with leaders there, but not in so much the obvious leader as title over the head. But that's who I love working with, is people who are
Wow.
leaders, whether it's in their business, whether it's in life, community, profession, because that's how my mind works.
Right.
Grew up, parents that were leaders, and that was the environment I was immersed in.
Right.
And so
I think that's good. So good role model to let you know
yeah.
that you can make anything happen if you want, if you do it right, if you follow your passion and do it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Integrity
Well, there's I've always realized that it's a little bit more complex than that, and part of the equation is my own determination, perseverance, vision, but that alone is not enough.
Right.
And given who you are in this country, there's other barriers that are in the way, and just having the perseverance, the clarity, the vision, and the stick-to-itness will not necessarily take you through, over, and across what is being put in the path intentionally.
Right.
So,
Right.
But that's a big part of the generative aspect of it. But, when we tell people just,
Stick to it.
just do it.
Just
you
do
stick
it.
to it. It's like, well, hold up. Stick to it. It's as if it's a smooth path
Right.
and things have been removed out of your way. But what about when they've been put in your way on purpose
On
and you didn't
purpose.
put them there? Now what? So
Right.
so there's a sophistication and a even higher order of
Wow.
focus and discipline that can be needed for others of us. So, but all that's part of the conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so people can navigate.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you develop or put all this together over time, or psychology? What's your background a little
My
more?
background is not psychology. People
No?
always think it is.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
officially.
Right,
not
right.
officially in terms of formal education, because I was a business administration major. But
Yeah.
so I'm using that as I administer my business. But
Gotcha.
the content of my business is not all business topics related.
Right.
That's just one division. But I've always been fascinated by human beings and how and why we turn out certain ways. You can have people in the same family, one, and
Yeah.
same parents, same
Yeah.
address, and
Yeah.
one goes one direction, one goes the other.
Yeah.
What determines the experience you have in life? And you can live in the same city,
Yeah.
on the same street, go to the same church,
Yes.
work at the same workplace, and still there can be very diverse experiences
Right.
within that. So
Right.
I wanted to know and figure out what are the variables, what determines not just why and how people turn out the way they turn out, but I want to have the optimum outcomes.
Right.
I want
right.
to have a juicy life. I want to have a joyful life. I want to
Yeah.
have a prosperous life.
Yes.
And so, what shapes and informs that way of being and experiencing life? And I started asking that question at a
Wow.
relatively young age.
Yeah.
I wasn't asking it with those words when I was 10 years old, but right around 5th grade is where the inquiry into that really started.
Really?
And my parents were leaders, community, civic, business, politics. So I was always around a lot of highly influential people.
Yeah.
And it fascinated me. Like,
Right.
what happened that they're influencers
Right,
and,
right.
and thought leaders and deciding policy and legislation and the things that affect hundreds of thousands
Right.
of other people.
Right.
And so I said, I want to understand what those inputs are, because there's some combination that yields optimum results.
Right.
And so that's been kind of the framework I've used in my life in paying close attention in the love relationship space, in the personal empowerment space, in the business space.
Right.
And what you find, what I have found, is that there are some recurring principles that
Okay.
transcend a personal experience
Uh-huh.
that a lot of the fruit that our lives yield is a function of. The
Right.
good fruit is what I'm interested in, because you can have rotten fruit. And so
Yes, you can.
I want the juicy fruit, Jeff. So
Nice.
so just being highly, highly attentive, because life is such an amazing laboratory if we're paying close attention, not even just attention, but close attention. So I can, I do a lot of travel as well, so I can go through an airport
Yeah.
to a speaking engagement
Yeah.
and have 5 stories that I can include in my keynote
Yeah.
that are from the trip through the airport. And what I learned from observing and
Yep.
watching just on that trip
Just yep.
that have applicability and application to every life in the room.
Yeah.
And so if we train ourselves to paying close attention, which means you have to be able to focus, which means you have to have control of your mind space so you're not so distracted with every
Right.
shiny object you're swiveling. You have to learn how to direct your energy and hold your attention on something. A lot of people can't hold for long.
Right.
Right? There's a lot of
A lot of
factors.
things coming at us. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've learned how to pay close attention and see what data
I
is
love that.
coming to me and
Yeah.
synthesizing it. I know you like that.
Yes,
synthesizing data.
Yeah.
And there are definitely some trend lines around how you create and generate and sustain
Sustain.
and continue to elevate, the word
Right.
I saw here.
Yes.
Love that word. My empowerment movement for the community is called the Elevate Movement.
Yeah.
And so there's very specific things that lead to elevation and prosperity and optimizing this human experience in the earth. And that's what my life's work is about, whether it's in
Wow.
the relationships arena, the personal
Right.
arena, or the business arena, which is kind of covers all the arenas.
Yeah,
So,
it does. Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't because I had a psychology degree. It was because I had a natural curiosity
Yeah.
and wonder.
Yeah.
And I've asked some pretty useful questions because the quality of the question matters. And I've asked them to folks who have had a lot of wisdom to share. So
Right.
my parents always encouraged asking questions. And so, and they said, I would be going to galas with them and community events with them, and I always had a little journal with me.
Really?
And they gave me permission, if it was appropriate and right,
Right,
timing,
right.
of course, to approach folks in those environments and say, excuse me, I'm Nat and Thelma's daughter, and I have a few questions I'd like to ask you.
Really?
Who's going to say no to a
Who's gonna-
10-year-old?
Right.
And so,
Right.
the wisdom and lived experience of other people has also been part of that data.
Right.
And I've had the same mentor for 26 years, and so that accelerates you along faster in my estimation.
Right.
Lots of wisdom from her and just other people along the way, because I love asking questions. So I've never been one to say I know it all or think I know it all. It's like, here's what I know at this point, and our body of knowledge can continue to expand.
Right.
And so have always been a pretty good question asker, and that's really helped inform my work.
So, have you found some common characteristics of these thought leaders and of industry and politics and stuff? What are some of those nuggets of knowledge that characteristic all of them have?
Yeah.
Is there something that stands out for the audience to start
Yes.
looking into?
Yeah, well, one thing is definitely coming to mind right off the bat, and there's several.
Yeah,
but,
that's what I thought. Yeah.
One thing is coming to mind right off the bat, which is vision. And that doesn't mean they're a visionary, like leading a whole organization and
Right.
everyone's behind them. They're like this way.
Right.
But in their daily life, they aren't just focused on the place their body's in at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Or even just a few weeks out. They tend to have a horizon
Right.
in their thinking that is 1 to 2 or more years out
was
that
gonna
they're
say,
already
yep,
holding. They
right.
don't have to sit down and think about it.
Right.
Because say, what's your vision for a year out?
Right.
What's your vision for 2 years out? And they're able to say, da-da-da-da-da-da,
Right.
because they've spent, time
Yep.
getting clear about it. So clarity.
Yeah, clarity.
Clarity of what? Vision.
Yeah.
Clarity of focus. Clarity of values. There's a
Love it.
clarity
Yeah.
that leaders tend to have that most people don't.
Yeah. That's true.
Not to mention some goals and all that, but that's
Along the way.
inside the vision.
Yeah,
That's
right.
inside the vision. So that's definitely a characteristic. And then they also have usually some kind of practice. And you don't know about this until you ask specifically.
Uh-huh.
They usually have some kind of practice that helps them center, be grounded, and clear their mind. Because that's the creative space of their lives.
Is that meditating or working out or
It can
walking on
be-
the beach? Or
It can be, they have some kind
jogging?
of practice.
Yeah,
And I didn't
okay.
just say an activity, because that
Yeah.
can be hit and miss. A practice is built into the fiber of your life and the fabric of your weekly and daily existence.
Yeah.
They have a practice. And it's
Ah.
not all the same one, but
Yeah.
there's something.
Yeah.
For me, it's daily prayer and meditation, speaking
was
to
thinking that,
God,
yeah.
and also listening and hearing from and heeding the voice of God that I call the Holy Spirit. So
Right.
that's built into my lifestyle, my life,
Right.
the same way we brush our teeth every morning. That's a part of how I roll. And so in my empowerment work with women and men, that conversation is about having a practice at the top of a new day that helps you get grounded, helps you get clear, helps you get energized, so that this day, this new day of life that you've never awakened into before, can be optimized. So,
Love that.
But that's another characteristic I found kind of
Right.
behind the scenes, is
Right.
there's some kind of practice that helps them have some mastery of this space.
Right.
That's built into their lifestyle.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that
Yeah.
cool?
It is. 'Cause when you were saying that, I'm thinking, when do I get grounded? Like working out. I can be in that place, meditate. Sometimes I go on a hike. Some people it's riding a bike. Some it's prayer. Some it's whatever that is that gets them. Because we all have too much stuff.
Yeah,
And a lot of us don't know how to get rid of it.
yeah.
And we just put more stuff on us. And then we're slumped over and,
Right. That's right.
So we have to get rid of that. That's awesome how you do that. Walked us through that. I'm sure our listeners were just visualizing as you were walking through. Hopefully they're not driving. Maybe. But as I'm just sitting here listening to you and the clarity and the way you explained everything, it just, I'm sure a lot of people are going, I need to call her. What? Or your books or something to just get them thinking about that, because very, very helpful and interesting.
Yeah.
Love that.
I'm
love
interested
that.
in new paradigms, though.
Ah, okay.
And not because I'm out here trying to find new paradigms. It's because the way I kind of process and see life tends to be outside of the traditional norms.
Right.
And a lot of times the traditional norms are failing us. So
Yeah.
all the more reason.
Yeah.
But since I was a little girl, I always saw things differently than most.
Yeah.
Now I know the language for that would probably be new paradigms, that I see new paradigms, new frameworks, new constructs than most people see.
Right.
And so it's new paradigms in business, new paradigms in personal development and transformation. And transformation is different than just growth, and new paradigms in love relationships. So I bring that to, and that's why people keep coming back.
Yeah.
I have a 40% return rate for my my clients in the personal transformation arena, which is the largest percentage of our work these days. And it's because they know that I'm going to be bringing something new that's going to elevate them.
Right.
And it's never the same stuff, because I'm also about continual elevation.
Right,
and they
right.
get to benefit from the new thing.
Right.
You will never stagnate with me. You will never hear You come back and do a course with me a year later, and it's the same content as the year before.
Right.
The title may be the same,
Right.
but the content is going to be a reflection of some new revelation, some new understanding, and then my students and my clients get to benefit from that,
Right.
because they can trust that I'm keeping my edge sharp.
I love
And I
that.
got to stay ahead of them, or there's
Yes.
no point in paying me for my contribution. Like, you're not contributing anything I don't already know. So I'm committed to always refining
that.
and elevating myself.
Love
too.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to continually learn. You have to continually move forward. Otherwise, you fall over. And
You
what's
don't
the point?
have to, but
Well, you
I
don't.
choose to, and
Me
I know
too.
you choose
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
And it makes
It's
life
interesting.
much juicier
Yeah.
when that's
It's
just part of how
interesting.
you roll, because the brain is not fixed and static, and
Right.
and what we can learn is amazing. And
Yeah.
I didn't just want to be a jack of all trades. You know how people say jack of
Right.
all trades, master of none. I
Right.
wanted to be a master of many.
Yeah.
And so, when people ask me to come see them, well, what's your area of mastery? And people usually have one.
Yeah.
I said, well, actually, I've been very intentional about developing several areas of mastery.
Right.
Depth, not just breadth and
Right,
width and
right.
quantities of
Right.
topics, but
Really dive in, understand, and
yeah,
share,
that's right.
and lead others.
The
and train them.
anatomy,
Yeah.
the insights, yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
very principles driven, and principles transcend generation, time, era, and that also makes the things I teach pretty timeless.
Nice. Awesome. I could talk to you all day long. You told me that. You're definitely gonna have to come back.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, you have written a few books,
3 nationally published books.
3 nationally published books.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us quickly, like, what are they and where people can get them and
Yeah,
what they're about?
absolutely. 3 nationally published books. The first one is called Sacred Pampering Principles, and it's a woman's guide to self-care and inner renewal.
Okay.
And that came out through HarperCollins back in 1997. And I
Wow.
mention the date because
Yeah.
it's still selling today.
Yeah.
And it's a best-selling book, and it has an evergreen topic that has become even more relevant since the pandemic.
Really?
So as we march along in modern times with more and more technology, we're
Yeah.
actually not getting more spiritually mature, and we're not doing a better
Yeah.
job taking care of our mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. We're doing a worse job.
Yeah, we are.
So the inverse proportion is staggering,
Right.
and the contradiction is staggering. And it's made for a lot of breakdown
Yeah.
in
could
our
see that.
personal, professional, and relationship lives.
Relationship, especially. So we're getting into.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
powerful report card.
Yeah.
And so then my second book is All the Joy You Can Stand. It came out over 20 years ago. Again, it's an evergreen topic, as they call it in the publishing industry, and it's
Right.
about the relationship between joy and power in life. And the subtitle is 101 Sacred Power Principles for Making Joy Real in Your Life. So my teachings are all around joy, not happiness. Joy is a state of being. Happiness is an emotional state. And
You're right.
And so part of our design as humans, we're designed to be in the state of joy. And
Yeah.
that supports health, that supports our magnetism, and a whole bunch of other wonderful things.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and then the
See the
third
difference.
book,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is the most recent, and recent I put air quotes around, but is called The Love Lies. And that came out in 2014,
Mhm.
even though my relationships work started in 2009. And the book was a new paradigm, right? And
Uh-huh.
it took literally, Jeff, a decade
Yeah. Yeah.
for people to start to get what I was saying, because it was
It was too far
Right?
ahead of. Yeah. You were ahead at the time. Yeah. Yeah.
And so in just the last year and a half, it's like, I've had that book, but I'm now ready to pick it up.
Right.
Now I get it.
Now I
Now
get it.
it was like so far ahead of my thinking. And it wasn't that it was so far ahead. It was outside of the usual paradigm.
Right.
And the usual paradigm hasn't been working for us. It's failed us dramatically in this
Right.
country with the highest divorce rate globally. So, So that's pretty cool, and I think that's why my books are still selling and best selling, and Sacred Pampering just came out in audio form in 2022.
Nice.
After it coming out in 1997. You usually
Wow.
don't have
No, you don't.
a publishing house invest in a new version of a book that's been out that long, but they
Right.
saw a spike in sales and said, we're going to invest in the audio version of the book. So it's very, very exciting.
Wow, beautiful.
So, and people can get all 3 books through my website, milliondollarmentor.net, plus some other fabulous resources and free gifts and articles and all kinds of yummy things. But
Nice.
because I also have some ebooks and some fabulous self-study courses that all can be found through milliondollarmentor.net. So
Nice.
I call that Debrena's Grand Central Online.
Yeah, nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad we ran into each other at
I
this
am
event.
too.
This is,
I am too.
Yeah, and you were
So
sitting next to me. I
grateful.
reached over and said, hey, we got to chat. And just from them introducing you, so that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love
So
that.
thank you so much.
Well, you were definitely going to come back because we didn't get to the relationship piece.
Absolutely. Oh, that's gonna be multi-episodes. I'm telling you. As soon as we cross over to relationships, oh my goodness, they're like, okay, can we do a series? Yes,
Hey,
we can.
maybe. Maybe. Got sponsors out here.
Yeah, because it does relate to
It does.
business success.
It does.
Really does.
If you're in a bad relationship with your spouse, your friend, your children, it messes up everything.
You're distracted.
You're distracted.
And the truth of the matter, Jeff, is it affects men even more profoundly because women have learned how to do a better job compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
And so a woman can be at work or running her business and you do not know that her relationship is falling apart.
Right.
Or that she just had an argument this morning.
Right.
While a man, it'll show up like, man, you look like hell. What happened?
What happened to you?
And it starts to show.
Yeah.
He's distracted. So the impact can be even greater on a man in the business space.
Yeah.
Because he may not be able to
Separate.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So really important.
You're awesome. Well, my friend, you will definitely be back.
Yes.
Do
Yes.
And
For
those of
sure,
you-
for real.
Oh,
I'm not just saying
I'm not
it.
kidding either.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we
okay.
got a lot to talk about.
Yes.
we
Let's do it.
just touched the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
So thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Debrena Jackson Gandy, for being a guest here at the Lean Lounge. And those of you out there listening, I hope you took away a lot of nuggets of knowledge today on the show. Tell your friends. You can, see us on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Sirius, all of those out there. If you want to be a sponsor for our new maybe segments, I don't know.
Hey.
Reach out to leanrevisions.com and contact at leanrevisions.com. Thank you, everybody. This is Jeff Gray and Debrena Jackson Gandy. See you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to KPI Fire, Strategy Execution Software. Align strategy, drive execution, engage people. Here's how it works. First, you create a dashboard of strategic goals and the key metrics that demonstrate success. Then projects are created that cascade under those strategic goals. The progress of those projects and the movement of their metrics roll up into the strategic goals they belong to. With KPI Fire, your strategic progress becomes tangible, measurable, and at your fingertips. KPI Fire also allows you to capture your employees' best ideas for continuous improvement and reward those contributions. From top to bottom, your organization can clearly see strategy, and everyone feels that they have a say and a stake in the success of that strategy. It means that management can clearly prove hard and soft savings, and that they aren't wasting time rolling up reports. And it means that every employee can have simple, real-time visibility on projects and strategy progress. And what that translates to is alignment, strategy becoming reality, and igniting success. KPI Fire is a simple, intuitive interface. It's the right tool for any improvement approach in any size team. And it's easy, requires no download or IT support, and is at your fingertips on any device. Instant visibility to your business. Align strategy, drive execution, engage people.
For more information on today's show or to become a sponsor, visit leanrevisions.com. Join the virtual studio audience by emailing podcast@leanrevisions.com for tickets. Follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X. This podcast is hosted by Jeff Gray, produced and edited by Make Your Day Richer.